All right, we've got the case of Freeman versus Jones. Ms. Harris, can you call your first witness?
I'd like to call Mr. Fred Freeman to the stand, Your Honor.
We have him sworn, please.
Would you like to swear or affirm?
I'll affirm.
Do you affirm that what you're about to give us in testimony is true?
I do.
Mr. Freeman. Madam Chair, Ms. Harris.
As a preliminary matter, Your Honor, I have prepared books of evidence, one copy of which Mr. Freeman will be using and one copy for yourself. I've also provided a copy to my friend, Mr. Harang, and I expect that the copies in your book will be marked as exhibits, if that is satisfactory.
Okay, fine.
Clerk?
Madam Clerk. Thank you.
You are Fred Freeman, correct?
Yes.
And you are a software engineer?
Yes.
And you live in Brandon, Manitoba.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your life there, please?
I went to the University of Manitoba and graduated in 1985. It took a while for me to sort of figure out where I wanted to work. I ended up working for Samson Engineering. I started that job in 1998. And I've just resided in Brandon for after that, and I really liked Samson Engineering.
Okay, and can you tell us a bit about why we're here today? Like, why you launched this lawsuit?
This has to deal with my fiance. She passed away, and we were going to get married, and we were in that time before she passed away. We were very close. We were playing for keeps, just ready to get married, and I gave her a bunch of money for renovations to the house that we were going to live in. I had bought her a ring. I also had invested in her car company, or one car company, but I invested in her car business. She wanted to flip cars, refurbish them, and whatnot. And after she passed away, I haven't returned any of that money.
Mr. Freeman, I'm going to stop you there for one moment, and I'm just going to ask you a few questions, a little more detailed. Who was your fiancée? What was her full name?
Her name was Tanya Turner.
Where did she live?
She lived in Dorchester, nearby London, Ontario.
Okay. And how did you two meet?
We met online.
Okay. How long ago did you meet?
We met about a year or so ago in year X.
And how did your relationship develop?
Well, we met online, we got to talking, as those online sites work, and we hit it off immediately. We had a mutual hatred of the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Tigers. Detroit Lions too. And we really liked the Chicago Bears. We also really liked cars. We had very common interests as well, in terms of each other. We were both, like I said earlier, playing for keeps. We both wanted a long-term commitment. We were even talking about kids, and we just had so much in common. It felt like a match made in heaven.
Okay, so between the two of you, what sorts of plans have you made for the future? You mentioned before a car business. Can you explain a little bit more about what that meant?
Yeah, we both really like cars. So Tanya was talking with her expertise in cars. She wanted to start refurbishing, flipping cars, so buying old cars and refurbishing them, selling them so they're at a higher value, making money off of them. So, as we were talking about that, I said, well, to get you started off, I'll give you $25,000 to help the business get started off, which I did. And she started looking for cars, and at one point, I think she even purchased a 68 Mustang. And yeah.
Okay. So, did there come a time when you actually met Ms. Turner?
Oh, yes.
And when was that?
That was in February of year X, which was the year that she died. I went to Dorchester from Brandon. I went and saw her in Dorchester.
Okay. And at that time, what did you discuss about your future together?
Oh, we were discussing me moving from Brandon to Dorchester to live with her. I proposed to her at that time too. I gave her a wedding ring that I had specially made,
Can you describe the ring for the court, please?
Yeah, I was looking around for rings and nothing really, like I went to Tiffany's, Zayre's, etc. Like all those typical stores for rings, but couldn't find anything that really suited her finger and what I envisioned would be perfect for her. So I went and I got specially made the ring from the Lord of the Rings that Galadriel wears. I thought, oh, that's a beautiful ring. So I went and got that special made.
And how much did that custom ring cost you?
That cost me $10,000.
Okay. Mr. Freeman, I'm going to ask you to take a look at some of the exhibits that I've prepared, and I'm going to ask you to describe them as well. So if you would turn to tab 1 of the book of exhibits that you have, and Your Honor, there's a picture located at tab 1 as well. Mr. Freeman, can you describe what that picture shows, please?
That's a picture of, it's not Tanya's ring, it is Tanya's, it's the one from Lord of the Rings. It's the one that I modeled the ring I got Tanya off of. So that's the one in Lord of the Rings, the Galadriel wears.
Okay. And can you describe what the materials were that your ring was made out of, or Tanya's ring was made out of?
I believe it was gold and diamond.
Okay. So, Your Honor, I'd like to have the picture of Tanya's ring marked as Exhibit 1, please.
Can we just clarify as to where this photograph came from?
Yes, Your Honor. Where did this photograph come from?
Appears to be a screenshot from the movie.
And were you the one who captured the screenshot?
Yes, I had to show, when I got the ring made, I had to show the ring maker a picture of what I wanted. So I went online, I was watching the movie, and clicked screenshot.
Stamp it as an exhibit?
Okay. And Mr. Freeman, turning to tab 2 of the book of exhibits, can you describe that document?
Yeah, that is the receipt. That's a copy of the receipt for the ring, the $10,000 that I paid for the ring.
Okay. And when did you take delivery of the ring?
I took it in January of year X.
And when is that receipt dated?
This is January of year X.
And that is the actual receipt, or a copy of the actual receipt?
It's a
that you
photocopy
received?
of the actual receipt I received, yes.
And what is the amount on it?
$10,000.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to have that exhibit marked as Exhibit 2, please.
Yes, it will be. Thank you.
So what happened to the ring after Tanya's death, Mr. Freeman?
I didn't get it back. Her ex-spouse, I think, still has it.
Okay. Okay. And turning to the house, in January of year X, you proposed to Tanya. Can you discuss your future plans, like where you were going to live and what was going to happen to the property?
Where Tanya lived in Dorchester, we were going to move there. Or no, not we. I was going to move there from Brandon. I was going to close out my job. I was getting, at that point, prepared to, give my 2 weeks notice. Move to Dorchester, and we'd set up there. I'd have my own sort of workspace in the basement for computers and like computer consulting, that kind of idea. So we were going to renovate the house too. It needed some renovations done to that. But yeah, we were going to get married at the end of the summer, and I'd be living in Dorchester.
What kind of renovations exactly were you contemplating for the Dorchester property?
Well, we were going to finish the basement. It was a rough basement at that time when we were talking, when I met in Dorchester with Tanya. But we were going to finish the basement, and I'd have a home office there, put in new curtains and just other renovations here and there, just to update certain things that had gotten dated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were there major structural errors that had to be corrected?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. And how much money did you give Tanya for the renovations?
I gave her $65,000.
And when did you give that money to her?
I gave that to her when I was in Dorchester.
So January of year X?
January or February of year X, yes.
Okay.
In that time.
Okay. And you also turning back to the car business, you mentioned that when you visited Tanya in Dorchester, that there was a vehicle there.
Right.
And it was, can you describe the vehicle for the court, please?
It was a 1968 Ford Mustang. Tanya said it was worth about $8,000, and based on my knowledge, it looked to be about $8,000. She was in the process of refurbishing it, and then she'd sell it at a higher price with all the refurbished parts and everything. Yeah, it was a very nice looking vehicle.
What money did Tanya use to buy that vehicle?
She used the $25,000, part of the $25,000 that I had given her previously.
Okay. And after Tanya's death, do you know what happened to that Mustang?
I have no idea. I haven't seen any proceeds if it was sold, or I don't know.
And to your knowledge, what's happening with the property in Dorchester?
Tanya's ex-spouse, I think that he either is residing there, or he's going to sell it, or something. I have no access to the property. The door locks were changed.
Okay.
Even though Tanya even gave me a key, because we were expecting to live there, and I have no access to that property.
Okay. And to your knowledge, who were the registered property owners of the property in Dorchester?
It was Tanya's ex-spouse, John Jones, and Tanya held the property jointly, I guess, but they owned it, both of them. And after Tanya died, I think John now owns it.
So, Mr. Freeman, how did you find out that Mr. Jones owned the property?
Well, originally, I was told by Tanya when she told me that her and John owned the property, but she was going to go to the land registry office, and she was going to get changed, so she'd just be the sole owner. I guess she died before she could do that. And as for John owning it now, after Tanya passed away, I went to the registry office myself, and I found out that Tanya didn't need to change, and that he still named his owner.
Okay. And were there any discussions between you and Tanya about getting the property sold in her name?
That's right, yeah. There were discussions. Tanya told me that she was going to go to the registry office before we got married and be registered as the sole owner of the property. Because John never lived there at that time. So.
Do you know, to your knowledge, was John agreeable, or Mr. Jones agreeable to having his name removed as a property owner?
I can't answer. I don't know that.
So, when did Tanya Turner die?
She died in June of year X.
And I know this is very difficult, Mr. Freeman, but how did Ms. Turner die?
She was electrocuted by a lightning bolt.
So it was very sudden.
Yeah, nobody expects that to happen.
Okay. And what did you do after Ms. Turner's death?
I flew to Dorchester and attended her funeral. I tried to go to the property as well, because when I'd been in Dorchester earlier that year, she'd given me keys to the house, and like I said earlier, the locks were changed, so I couldn't get in there, and so at that point I'd already left my job at Sampson Engineering Brandon, so I was jobless, I was homeless, I was expecting to be able to live in the Dorchester house, so I don't know, I was without a path in life at that time.
So after finding yourself locked out of the property in Dorchester, where did you go, Mr. Freeman?
Well, I didn't really have anywhere to go. I eventually got an apartment in London, but for the time being there, I was homeless.
And how are you supporting yourself right now, Mr. Freeman?
I have a job again. I picked it back up, but yeah, it took some time even just to recover from the shock of Tanya's death. That was really hard. I loved her, but
new job. I'm paying the bills. I got a new apartment, so it's all going well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Those are all of my questions, but my friend, Mr. Rainey, will have some questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.